All right, the EPA is pulling permits from one of America's largest surface mining companies. Now, this is a huge setback for the controversial price of mountaintop removal, and that produces about 10% of the nation's coal. Doug McKelway is live in Washington with more on this. Doug, is this an example of the Obama administration attempting to implement its agenda not through legislation, but through regulation?
Indeed it is, Greg. The EPA, for only the second time since 1972, has done just that, revoking a permit that it had already granted to a West Virginia coal mining company for mountaintop removal. This revocation has prompted an unusually harsh response from both of West Virginia's two Democratic senators. Senator Jay Rockefeller, writing President Obama himself, quoting from his letter now. I am writing to express my outrage with the EPA's decision to veto a rigorously reviewed and lawfully issued permit at the Spruce No. 1 mine in Logan County, West Virginia. This action not only affects this specific permit, but needlessly throws other permits into a sea of uncertainty at a time of great economic distress. And Greg, what makes this unusual is that it opens the door for the EPA to revisit dozens of other mountaintop removal sites literally across Appalachia. Right?
This could really hurt the mining states. So, Doug, explain what's so controversial about the mountaintop removal process itself.
It is very, very controversial. It is a process where literally the top of a peak is blasted off to access coal seams. The leftover rock is mostly shoveled off the peak into steep valleys, often damming up or polluting the streams below. It does threaten fish, wildlife, drinking water, and the EPA cited those threats in its statement. Here's the statement that EPA issued in part. The agency took this action because the proposed mine would use destructive and unsustainable mining practices that jeopardize the health of Appalachian communities and clean water on which they depend. That's the EPA statement, Greg.
Yeah, but look, didn't the coal company in question here meet all of their obligations in the permitting process? Didn't they already comply?
Indeed they did, and that is what West Virginia's other senator is so upset about. He says the revocation of the permit is fundamentally unfair. The words of Joe Manchin now, quote, according to the EPA, it doesn't matter if you did everything right, if you followed all of the rules. Why? They just changed the rules. Mingo Logan's parent company, by the way, this is the company involved, they're called Arch Coal, and they are fighting this revocation in U.S. District Court. A ruling was issued, excuse me, I should say that a ruling was expected, but it was temporarily put on hold while the EPA reviewed this particular permit. So these mining companies are hoping that good things come out of the court. But a lot of these companies are running scared right now, Greg, and the biggest problem they have is they've invested a lot of money, a lot of infrastructure into these mines, and now the EPA is saying you can't do it.
Yeah, the poor economy has already hit West Virginia pretty hard. Now this, boy, that's all they need. Doug McKelway, live in Washington. Doug, thanks.